It began with a single broadcast, one that would shake Washington to its core. When the voice of the White House begins to fracture in full view of the nation, it isn't just a communications failure, it's a crisis of power. For months, Karoline Leavitt was seen as the disciplined messenger of the administration, sharp, controlled, and relentlessly loyal. But that image would not last. Somewhere between the cameras, the pressure, and the politics, something inside her began to crack. It started quietly. An edge in her tone, a flash of irritation behind the practiced smile. But when she appeared on live television that morning, the unraveling was no longer hidden. Sitting beneath the bright lights, her face perfectly composed, she unleashed words that sent a chill through the room. She painted the opposing party not as rivals, but as enemies. Unworthy, dangerous, and corrupt. The hosts froze. No laughter, no interruption. Just silence, heavy and absolute. Even the studio air seemed to stop moving. And then, as if on cue, they shifted the topic, their expressions tight with unease. The broadcast stumbled forward, but the damage had already been done. Within minutes, the clip exploded online. Millions watched. Outrage spread across both sides of the aisle. Commentators called it reckless, divisive. Public dissent caught on camera. Among the first to respond was House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. His voice carried both anger and alarm as he condemned her words, calling them dangerous in a time when the nation was already raw, already on edge. He warned that her rhetoric wasn't just offensive, it was perilous. The line between leadership and lunacy, he said, was disappearing. But instead of retreating, Karoline doubled down. Her social media feeds became a storm of fury, posts laced with mockery, defiance, and personal attacks. She called her critics hypocrites, her opponents traitors. She even took aim at Jeffries himself, dismissing him with insults more fitting for an internet troll than a government official. Every post grew louder, more chaotic. The discipline that once defined her had evaporated. Reporters began to notice. This wasn't simply anger, it was unraveling. Her tone no longer reflected the restraint of power, but the addiction to outrage. Then came the moment that turned scandal into spectacle. A Huffington Post reporter reached out with a routine question about a rumored high-level meeting abroad. A standard inquiry, nothing more. What came back was 2 words. Your mum. The response spread across Washington like wildfire. Screenshots lit up social media within minutes. Journalists, politicians, and citizens alike stared in disbelief. It sounded juvenile, absurdly so, as if the press office of the most powerful office in the world had been replaced by a late-night internet comment section. The shock deepened when her superior communications director, Stephen Chung, echoed her remark online, "Your mom." Every time what might have once ended careers instead became a viral meme. Supporters called it humor. Critics called it a collapse of dignity. Cable networks dissected the moment frame by frame. Analysts called it a breakdown of professionalism, a symbolic death of seriousness in American politics. Journalist Mehdi Hassan described it as the point of no return, proof that the administration's communication style had abandoned reason for ridicule. But inside the echo chamber of partisan approval, laughter replaced accountability. What would have once been a career-ending scandal was now a badge of defiance. The old rules were gone. By nightfall, Karoline Leavitt's name trended across every platform. Her interviews, her tweets, her outbursts, all replayed on endless loop. The woman once tasked with projecting calm authority had become a cautionary tale. Even the loyal hosts at Fox News couldn't mask their discomfort. For once, they didn't defend her. They didn't smirk. They simply sat there, silent, uneasy, aware that something deeper had shifted. In the span of a single day, the role of White House press secretary had been reduced to theater. The podium once meant for truth and discipline had become a stage for chaos. Every word she spoke now carried the weight of mockery, not just of her opponents, but of the institution she represented. Karoline Leavitt was no longer a spokesperson. She had become a spectacle, a reflection of a government that had traded integrity for applause, restraint for rage, and leadership for noise. Behind the viral moments and the taunting replies was something far darker. A complete erosion of respect for truth itself. The line between performance and reality had disappeared. Her downfall wasn't just her own. It was a mirror held up to a political culture that now thrives on outrage. A culture where cruelty is strategy and chaos is the message. And as the lights dimmed and the cameras powered down, one image remained: the face of the nation's press secretary, smiling into the lens, branding half her country as enemies. Her story had begun as a press conference. It ended as a symbol of how far a system can fall when decency finally gives way to disdain.